Previously on Coaches Chronicles, right? We know which one is our basketball player. We know we are football players and we can hoop a little bit too, but we got to roll. And that just makes that a little bit easier. And when you know who you are, you know your strengths. Like I said, our strength was short, quick, fast, and explosive. That was our strength. We knew that as a strength. All right, y'all. Welcome back, man. We are back again with another one. We are here again at Coaches Chronicles, man. And I am your host, Coach P. And it is very special to me because this is our 5th episode. This is a milestone. You know, when you hit those 5s, it's all the way live. Now, if you have not, right, we've got multiple episodes going out. We got some of the top 4. These are the top 4 that has taken place so far. First up, you had The Journey Begins. Then, secondly, right, you have me talking about how to overcome adversity, right? That is something that is very important and prevalent in today's time, understanding how to do those things. Then we had episodes 3 and 4 come out, and now we are here with today's episode, which is number 5. And number 5 is going to be cool, right? Because we've talked about some of these other practices that has went down. And with number 5, we're talking about leadership lessons. But before we get too far, there's a couple of things that I just need you to do. Number 1, I need you to make sure that you're liking and you're subscribing and turning on the bell notification so that you get everything and all of the content coming to your way from All About the Basics, as well as Coaches Chronicles, which is the podcast of this here hub. Now, back to today's topic. Today's topic is about lessons in leadership. How do I inspire my team? How do I get the most out of the people that I'm dealing with? That is what we're talking about today. How can I do that, right? Now, there's a couple of things you can do. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and dive in. Now, topic number 1. Here's your first one. First thing you need to understand is the traits of an effective leader. If you're going to have to inspire other people, you have to understand the traits of an effective leader. And what I mean by traits is, what does that person look like? What is it that they do that makes sure that when people see leadership in them, they understand leadership in them? Well, a trait of an effective leader is this. Number 1, they're understanding, right? Number 2, they hold everybody accountable because they understand what accountability does, right? And number 3, which is probably the most important trait of an effective leader, being goal oriented. Now, let's bring it back. Now, if I'm going to be an effective leader and I'm talking about being understanding, I don't necessarily just mean being understanding for myself. I mean that I understand you, that I understand what it is that you can do, what it is that you can't do, what it is that you may be going through, how you feel on certain days, what gets you going, and what will mess up you. That's one thing an effective leader has to understand, right? Being understanding is bigger than just the scope of just yourself. You have to understand the people that you work with and the ones that you fight with. Number 2, right? We talked about holding each other accountable. Accountability is something huge as a leader. I'm holding you accountable, and I want you to hold me accountable too, but I'm holding you accountable because I understand that being accountable is the thing that's going to keep us all together. If there's something that I can always remind you of, if I can always put that bird in your ear, if I can always tell you like, hey, make sure you're not doing this because you know this is going to affect us long term. That's something that a trait that a leader has, accountability. They know how to hold themselves accountable and they understand how to do it for other people. And being goal oriented, they understand that we are all working towards something. So it's very important that we do. That we're not just here to play around. We understand the big picture of what it is we're going after. We understand what it is that we want, and that nothing is going to get in the way. So for lessons, right? If I'm talking about my first lesson, that was something I had to learn. Those traits. I had to look at, what does real leaders look like? Who are the people that we see as leaders in our society? Real leaders, real people who make impact in others' lives as well as anybody that they come across, right? So that's number 1. Now, for the second thing about these lessons of leadership, how do I inspire my team? Well, if I got people who are going to be looking towards me, the one thing I had to learn and understand is that I have to be me. I have to be myself. Being yourself is the best thing that you could ever decide to do as a leader. Stop trying to be someone else. Be yourself. And what do I mean by that? I mean this. I mean, lead your way, right? Lead your way. Another thing you have to do is lean on your strengths, understand your weaknesses, and you have to bring your great with you. That's what being yourself means. You're not going to try to coach the way that your little league coach coached. You're not going to try to lead the way that your high school coach coached. You're not going to try to lead the way that your college coach coached, or the one that you see on the screen, or the person that you think you may admire. You're going to lead the way that you feel is suitable, that you feel is good enough to get your team in the best situation. That's what the person is going to do who understands how to effectively lead others, right? Now, I'm going to circle back around because I said for the first thing about being yourself is to lead your way. You have to find your style. You got to find your swag. You got to find what's going to make you you. Like, everybody ain't the same. You got coaches who are rah-rah coaches. You got coaches who are quiet. You got coaches who are analytical. You got to find out who you are. Like, when I think of some of the coaches that I see all the time, right, and they all still are considered the best at what they do. I look at how you may be looking at a coach like Steve Kerr, and you can also look at Eric Spoelstra. Those are two different styles of coaches. They have a different approach to seeing things, but they're both considered the best at what it is they do, right? And then, like, if we cross over, right, there's always the comparison between Andy and Bill. What is different between them? They lead differently. Bill is stern. He's accountable. He's this. The Patriot way. Big Red is make sure that you are there to do your job. We can be loose. We can have fun, but make sure you do your job. Because there's people who are leaning on you, and they don't want to be looking up for you when you ain't there. And that's me seeing two different styles of leadership, but they still make it to the top, which shows me that you can be different and still be successful. Right. So that's very important, and that's very easy to understand. And when I said lean on your strength, if whatever it is that you're good at, make sure you do that. Don't be worrying about what everybody else do. Do you. Do what you're good at. Don't worry about other people. Do what you're good at, and bring your great with you. Whatever you're great at, do not minimize yourself just because you're in a different atmosphere with other people. Don't let anything put you in a microcosm or something that's going to slow you down just because you over here, right? You feel like, well, I used to be at this small school, but now I'm in this big place that I got to minimize myself and just, kind of adapt to the environment. Nah, dog, be yourself. Do not let nothing break you down just because somebody else doesn't have some tenure longer than you. Be you, being you, great with you, whatever it is that is. Don't let nothing hold you back. Bring that with you. Bring it with you. All right. And that's my second point of being a leader, right? So first we had to understand the traits of what it is to be an effective leader. So once I understand some of their traits, then I understand, like, okay, while I understand the traits, I have to understand to always be myself. So now that I understand what being myself is, one thing leaders know is that they always have to set the example. They always have to set the example, because these are the things that matter. They're always watching the people who will follow you. How you respond to anything matters more than anything. And your strategy is everything. How you approach things are everything. It is what you do. It is everything, right? So now let's circle back around once again. Now, I said they're always watching. If you're a leader, and you say you're going to do this, and you say you're going to do that, and you say you're going to be here, and you say you want this and all that, when it's your turn, they're going to make sure that you did it. If you say you're going to be there at this time, you better be there. Because if you're not, the people who are following you are now going to start taking steps back. They were like, I don't know. He say he this, but every time we look up, he ain't really that. He say he going to do this, but we practice all this, and we never really do that. He say, he's going to be able to do this, but we never really do that. They are watching everything. They're going to look closely, right? Because my second point of this was how you respond is everything. Now, as a leader who's going to lead, young men, young women, whatever it is that you do, You're going to get put in some tough situations just like everybody. We all got them. You're going to get put in some bad situations just like everybody. We all been there. But how you respond to it, being a leader, means everything. It's everything. 100% everything, right? Because you're going to preach to people, you got to be able to do this when this hits you. But what are you going to do when it hits you? What's your counter punch to the haymaker that's coming? What's your adjustment to the thing that they just brought out, even though you practiced all week? What's your adjustment? They are watching. It goes back to the first point. Your response is everything. And even if you make it to a situation and you don't have a counter, how you respond to what you're being hit with, the flurry that's coming to you, matters more than everything. Because they got to understand that when they looking and they seeing you, right? The people who are following you, when they're looking and they're wondering, all right, man, I don't think coach really got something, but let's see how he adjusted this and how he take it. The response is everything. If you can stand up like a man and take it on the chin, like, look, guys, I failed y'all today. I really didn't have it. But that doesn't mean that I'm not going to go back to the lab and make sure that I got it. So that next time we in these situations, nobody ever make us feel this way again. That response means everything. Your strategy, right? That's a part of your strategy. How I respond is a part of my strategy. How I adjust is a part of my strategy. What it is that I'm working with, how I lead, how I teach, the drills, the skills, everything that we work on, from the exercises, from the way that the weight room is being produced, from the way that the agility work will be worked on whenever we're indoor or outdoor, whatever it is, my strategy is all intertwined in all of these things, all these traits, all these being myself. That is a part of the whole deal. Your strategy is everything. The attack. What are you going to do as a leader? How are you going to make sure that you are prepared for anything and everything that may come towards you? Remember that your strategy, man, I'm fumbling on that word. Your strategy is going to be everything out of you. And how you will attack. What is it that you are going to do? These are the leadership lessons. And this is how you truly inspire the people who is going to follow you. Now, for my favorite segment that I always do, the historical highlight. And today, the highlight is different because normally I highlight one person. Today, since I'm talking about leaders, I'm highlighting two. And these two people sit at the top. And what better person to start it off with than His Airness, Michael Jeffrey Jordan. Now, if you don't know, I'm not going to read all the things from the bio, but you see a little bit that's up there, right? We know Jordan, universal, global, grew the game, changed the game, flying through the air, come fly with me, Gatorade, you name it, right? But first, he had to learn how to lead. Right? His leadership style, as we saw in The Last Dance, wasn't everybody's cup of tea, but they learned to get with it. Now, from that leadership style of pushing his teammates as hard as he could, it birthed 6 championships. It birthed 6 wins, no losses in the finals. It birthed 6 finals MVPs. It birthed 5 regular season MVPs. It birthed being universally regarded as the greatest of all time in your sport because he understood what it took to be a leader. And being a leader and a winner is sometimes going to be doing some stuff that everybody ain't going to always like. That's my first highlight. My second one, for the most part of my era of watching college sports, this guy took over the game, Mr. Nick Saban. Nick Saban is also another unconventional leader, but he got the most out of the people that he was dealing with. Nick Saban is universally regarded in some cases by most people, right, as the greatest college football coach there ever was. He has 2 national championships at 2 different campuses. And both of the people, when he got there, were not as in great condition. But when he left, boom, took him to the new heights, man. Look what he did with the Crimson Tide, right? When he got there, it was nothing. You look up, now they got Heisman Trophy winners and all these things. It's unconventional because he worked you hard and he understand the principle of do your job. It ain't always going to feel great, but at the end result, you're going to feel great. And that leadership style taught us that you're going to have to give a little bit, but you're going to get a lot of it, right? So I salute Mr. Michael Jeffrey Jordan and Mr. Nick Saban. I appreciate everything you've been to the sport. Now, this has been a great one. I understand leadership. I love it. I understand what it does. I'm glad what it brings to the game and what it brings to the table of just life. It teaches us principles that will carry us forward in all the things that we do. It will put us in a place where there's an extreme balance, and there's always a place for us to always want to extend higher. When you are an effective leader and you can get the most out of people who will follow you, the things that are behind you are limitless, and you should never, ever settle for whatever it is that you do. Make sure that you tune in. Make sure that you're liking and you're subscribing and sharing this with other people. Share it with everybody that you know, because we're doing some great things here and you want to be a part of it. And go ahead and be one of the members who will always be able to see the ascension of All About the Basics. But it's been a pleasure, and it's been another one, and it's been great. The effective ways to be a leader and how to inspire your team. Remember, you got to understand the traits of it. Always be yourself, right? And remember to set the example. It's been a good one, and that's been another one. Coach P, I'm out. See ya.